Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Art 195, 3D modeling for animation for the spring semester 2022. Today, I will be continuing with UV maps. There's one little thing that I want to show you that I think is really useful and worthwhile exploring on your own. The second part of the demonstration this morning will be covering displacement maps. I talked about them briefly before when I was doing the surfacing and projecting the window frame for our window in the box when I was covering surfaces, but this is going to cover more like if you wanted to create wrinkles in blankets, or if you wanted to create interesting terrain, you know, mountains and valleys and things like that. So let's go ahead and get started. And let me start by making a simple box. It's going to be the size of maybe a cereal box. So for those of you who have had, let me go ahead and reset this. I'm going to reset. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead here, and I'm just going to stretch this out like so. Trying to get proportions. I'm going to try to get proportions that are equivalent to a cereal box. Something about like that. Okay. Maybe make it a little bit deeper. Okie doke. So there you have it. I'll put this up here like so. And I'll fix it in space in a moment. So let's go ahead and turn the box off. It's fixed. Now I'm going to set up a temporary placeholder, and I'll name it cereal box. Okay, and I'm going to set the default color to green. Why? I don't know. Just it's a good color to use for right now, okay? So what we had done before when we were working with UV maps is that we need to create one. Okay, I have the default projections on the screen here. I have the top in the upper left-hand corner. I have the back in the lower left-hand corner, and I have the right in the right-hand corner in perspective. Remember that we can have the UV in any one of these, but typically we use the upper left-hand corner to display the UV map. So I have to make one first. So if you recall, we need to select T for texture, and then I need to add the little plus sign here. So I don't want the name just texture, I'll name it cereal box. Okay. And now what I want to do, we're not going to use linear, or rather planar. We're not going to use cylindrical. We're not going to use spherical. What I want to do is I want to use Atlas. Now, Atlas is going to, would imagine if you were to take a cereal box and unwrap it and flatten it out. That's what it's going to do. And when I select Atlas, one of the things that it can do is it can take segments. It'll create segments by surface or segments by part or both. So if you're creating a character for a game, for example, and you've broken down the parts into the face, into a jacket, into hands, things like that, either by surfaces or by parts, it will create all these different little pieces for you on a flat two-dimensional surface that you can then do a screenshot of, as we did before with the head, and then take it over to Photoshop, and you can insert images if you want, or create your own images in Photoshop, bring it back, and it will wrap it around the object. So that's what we're going to do with this. I'm using Atlas. I don't need segments by surface or parts or anything, and I just need to go ahead at the bottom here and create. So now it created the cereal box UV map. So to get an idea of what that looks like, let's go up here to the top And let's switch to UV texture. And you can see, if I zoom in here, it's just as I told you about. It fits within a square format. And you can see that this is one side, this is another, and one is the top and one is the bottom, and one of these is the front and one of these is the back. So now what I want to do is I want to apply an image that I have imported, or that I will import into this, onto the box. So what we can do is, rather than have 6 surfaces to apply, which you legitimately could do, you could have one for the, have a projections for the top, bottom, left, right, front, and back. Okay, but this is going to be one image, one UV map that can be applied. It works really well. I don't know how many of you have taken Chris's animation class, but he has you do this. He used to have, anyway, you do the cereal box animation. Then this would be a good way of applying that surface. Okay, so let's bring up the surface editor like so. I'm going to go and I'm going to switch from BSDF to standard right here. And I'm going to go ahead and under T for texture. Okay, I'm going to select, and we don't want a planar projection, we want a UV. Okay, and we haven't specified the UV map yet or the image that we're using. So remember, you can have multiple UV maps if you wish and use them at different times or for different purposes. I'm going to select serial box. So we'll use this map for this. And then the next one is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to load an image. I've already taken an image and I want it to be, that's an objects. Let's go into images. There we go. And I used, this is an old, it's actually supposed to go on a soda can, but I'm going to go ahead and apply it anyway. And you can see that it wraps that image around our cereal box. It doesn't look really good at the moment, but we can remedy that in a moment. So in the upper left-hand corner, I'm going to switch from none to light dew image. And you can see that this is where the image, how it maps. So now what I can do is I can take each of these polygons. So I'm going to switch from points to polygons. And I can select, for example, this polygon right here. And I want it to map centered where it says light wave. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and hit T for move and slide it over like so. And you can see that now it fits beautifully on there. Likewise for the back one, we're going to go ahead and turn off move, deselect this poly, and I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to hit T for move, and I'm going to move it into position 2. Okay, so that it fits. And now for the back and let's see, or rather the sides and the top. The top we can leave alone is maybe just, let's go ahead and we'll use the top for this one. We'll see. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I've turned move off, deselect. There we go. Let's select this side one. I'm talking to you and I'm not sure what I'm doing here. Let's select this one. There we go. Hit T for move. And let's move it over so that it fits with the ingredients here, the nutrition facts. And again, not only can I move it, but I can resize it. So I'm going to hit H for stretch and stretch it up and move it over a little bit. Like so. The computer is slowing down a little bit. T for move. Let's move it up. So that fits. And let's go ahead and hit H again And I'm going to stretch it. I'm going to go ahead and do it from mouse position. So I'll go ahead and stretch it down from here. Just so you can get an idea of what this looks like. Now when I roll this around, you can see that the nutrition facts are now on the side. And if I want to take the top, let's see where the top and the bottom are. Let me take this one. So I'm going to hit T for move. I want to deselect. And I'm going to take this one over here, and I'm going to move it into just a blank area here and resize it because I don't want anything on that side. And then I have to find the top and the bottom. Maybe I want the barcode to be on the top or the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and hit H for here. I'm going to resize it. Okay, so that's the other side. And then I need to find, let's see, where is it? Where did it go? No, I don't want to select that one. It's getting a little bit discombobulated now. But normally when you get the map, when it's created, you would make a copy of it and you would, again, you take it over to Photoshop and then you would just use it. You wouldn't have to modify it as much as I'm doing right now. And here it is. So I'm going to go ahead and take the cereal box. Whoops. Come on. There we go. Hit T for move. So this is either the top or the bottom. It's the bottom, I guess. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it around. So I'm going to go hit Y for rotate. So you can see what I'm doing here. Now, normally you wouldn't have the barcode fit the entire top. It would just be one little segment. But again, you're just getting a hint of what we're doing here. So I'm going to hit H for resize this. I'm going to hit Y again because I need to rotate it a little bit. T for move. Get in a position. Again, my computer's working a little sluggish. Anyway, let me go ahead and show you in perspective view how everything fits now. Now, the top doesn't fit because again, the reason the top doesn't fit is because I still have that overlapped. There's this little image right here that I need to select. Let's make sure that we deselect that. And let's select this one. I'm going to hit T for move, and I need to move it into, again, an empty spot. And now you can see how it fits. Turn off T for move, deselect the polygon, and everything is good. Notice that we have the nutrition facts on the top. We have the barcode on the bottom, which doesn't fit the way it's supposed to, but doesn't matter because, as you can see, that if we were to take the original UV map, as I said, and make a screenshot of it, take it over to Photoshop, and then make our Photoshop file fit on there on those little parts the way they're supposed to, you wouldn't have to do any of what I'm doing right now. I'm just showing you that even if you have an image that doesn't work perfectly, you can move and manipulate the polygons so that it does fit when everything is done. Now, the one downside is that you'll notice at the back side, even though I set that there, it doesn't fit. So what you need to do, notice that it's backwards. So what you need to do, and when this occurs, is that I need to select the polygon, and I need to, let me go ahead, it's selected, and I'm going to hit T for move, and I'll show you what happens. And you can see with that polygon selected, notice that it's attached to all the others. So you get that kind of plastic rubbery approach to it. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it and I'm going to paste it. And when I do that and I hit and I select it, so let me go ahead and again, let's make sure that I have select it. Now I hit T for remove. It's disconnected from it. So what I want to do, let me undo that, is I'm going to spin it around from, let's do it from, let's go back from here instead of the UV texture, let's go to the top view. And what I want to do is I want to hit Y for rotate. And I'm going to do it from the center of the selection. And I'm going to spin it around 180 degrees. Okay. There we go. Okay. So I'm done rotating it. I'm going to deselect it. I'm going to select it again and I'm going to hit F for flip. And now it's right reading. And the last thing that I need to do is deselect the polygon and to reattach it to the other polygon. So I'm going to hit M for merge. Just select automatic. And we can see that I have 4 points eliminated because it had to reattach the points in each corner. Okay. So there you have it. There is the last thing that I wanted to show you regarding UV maps. So the next thing that I wanted to show you is, let's move on unless you guys have any questions about UV maps. The sound and everything is okay. Okay. So let's move on to displacement maps. So I have another image that I have here. And it's just a flat plane. Okay. Notice that I have, because I want to distort it, as I did before with the window frame. But in this particular case, I can either make ripples in, like ripples in a pond, or I can make mountain terrains or that sort of thing. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you can displace it. It's actually moving points when you displace it. When you use bump maps, it's actually affecting the UVs. So it's not affecting the geometry at all, but it is creating the illusion. You're kind of playing a trick with the viewer's eye that it has a raised surface or an indented surface. But with displacement maps, you're actually affecting the points on the polygon, or points on the poly. So that's why I've had to subdivide it. If you don't subdivide it, then you can't displace it. So what I want to do now, because when you use displacement maps, the result that you're looking for can't be seen unless it's in layout. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to send it over to layout. So send object to layout. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I select the camera. I'm going to move the camera in a little bit. I'm going to move it up so we can see the plane a little. There we go. So it's just a flat plane. What if I wanted a ripply kind of surface? Okay. Let me go ahead and move this up even more. And let's rotate the camera downward. There we go. So in order to apply the displacement map, and I did show you this once before, is that instead what I want to do now is I want to select the object and I want to go to the object properties. Now before, when I was having trouble with this, notice that there's 3 different kinds of displacement. You have to actually make sure that you select displacement map at the bottom. So I'm going to select it. And now you need to apply a map, and it can be an image or it can be a procedural. I'm going to use 2 procedurals, and then when I'm done with this, to show you what it can do, where I'm going to pause the recording and show you a little video that shows you how you can use images to create really nice mountains and valleys and that sort of thing. So I'm going to double click on displacement map. And right now it says layer type. We have image map. I don't want to use that. I'm going to use a procedural texture. And as soon as I do, it uses by default turbulence. Notice what it's done here. Let's go ahead here. Probably what I should do when I'm done is go back to the surface texture and select smoothing. So let's go ahead and I'll apply that. Let's go ahead and use texture. And I'm going to come back to the surface editor. Let's bring the surface editor up. And for this surface, we only have one that I named ground. We're going to turn smoothing on. Okay. So I think you can already see that even just using the default settings, you can get some pretty interesting looks here. So I'm going to switch to blue, that if you wanted, maybe instead of terrain, you have turbulent water or something. So let's switch to a blue here. And now let's go ahead. Instead, I'm going to continue to use procedurals, but instead of hold on here. Instead of using turbulence, I'm going to switch and I'm going to use ripples. Now I have way too many. Okay, so I'm going to reduce the texture value a little bit, so it's a little bit lower. You can begin to see the ripples in the water. We can change the number of wave sources. So instead of maybe 3, I have 1. And then if you want to change the wave speed or the wave length, now notice as I move this, it actually looks like the ripples are emanating from the center. But what we can do, and that's true for all displacement maps, is that they can, in fact, be animated. So if you wanted a bulging muscle, in a guy, he bends his arm and you want the muscle to bulge, and you might be using a displacement map for that. That as he moves his arm, then a certain group of polys are affected and they bulge over time. Likewise with the little ripples in the water, if you wanted them to to change over time, we could do that, and I could add a null object and move it through space, and it would change the placement and the movement of the ripple. Okay, so that's an intro to displacement maps. Now what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pause the recording. I'm going to show you the video that we're talking about, and then that'll probably be it for today. Okay, but I think the next one, the video that I'll be showing you, or even this, could be something that you could make use of in your final project if you so wish. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close displacement map. I'm going to pause the recording for the time being. And the reason I'm pausing it is because this YouTube video is probably copyright protected. And if I tried to post mine with this built into it, it would probably go ahead. They would probably go ahead and they would flag mine and not allow me to view it. So let me go ahead and pause the recording. Okie doke. So the video, if you're wondering where it is, this is, I have in my YouTube channel, I have a playlist named Lightwave Tutorials, not by me, but by lots of other people that I've saved over the years. And this one is Modeling Landscapes with Displacement Maps. That's the title of it. It's about midway in I have like over 100 of them, I think, that have been saved that are useful. And in the weeks ahead, the few weeks that we have remaining in the semester, I'll be showing you a few more of those to show you, again, additional things that you can do with Lightwave. And available in Blender and other programs. It's not unique to Lightwave. So that's it for today. Unless you have questions about the final assignment or the toy assignment or any of the tutorials that I provided you. Anything? Yes, no? And then we'll call it a day. No? Okay, then. I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to turn off the video and I'm going to stop sharing, and that will be it for today. And everybody have a good weekend, and I will see you on Monday. And we'll have more video tutorials that show you a whole variety of things that are just it's kind of a shotgun approach to show you some extra things that can be done with Lightwave and 3D modeling programs. Okay, bye-bye.